Afternoon, everyone. This afternoon, we have Kevin here joining us, and he will be speaking to us about what it's like to be a game warden, what his career path entailed, how he came to choose that as a career, any highs and any lows with his day on the job, and also how has COVID-19 impacted his work life. If you all could please mute your mics. If you do have any questions that you'd like him to address, please put it in the chat box and we can go over it at that time. Thank you again, Kevin. We appreciate you for being online with us.
No problem at all. Good to meet y'all. You'll have to forgive me. It's my first Zoom presentation I've done since all this has changed. And obviously we talked about changes. That's one of them, is doing a lot of virtual internet meetings. We do a lot of them with Microsoft Teams with our division meetings now. So that's changed and that's different. But my name is Kevin Fagg. I'm a game warden with Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Been with Parks and Wildlife for going on 24 years now. And I love my job. I mean, it is a great job. How did I come to choose this field? I grew up in the outdoors and always liked fishing and hunting and was raised up that way. And so it was a good field for me to go into because of those passions I had as a kid. As I got older, I don't really even remember talking about wanting to be a game warden as much, but now that I see people that I went to school with, high school, junior high, they tell me, oh yeah, you always talked about being a game warden. So I guess it was at early on that I chose this field. After high school, I went to college at Texas A&M and graduated with a degree in wildlife and fisheries science. One of the talking points was, what does it take? Well, currently we do require a bachelor's degree to apply to be a game warden and to be accepted. That's one of our minimum qualifications, is to have a bachelor's degree. Any field within a 4-year bachelor's degree is accepted. More so would be around science or criminal justice, something that directly relates in one way or another to what we do. A lot of people go the criminal justice route if that's what they're interested in. And then many go the science route, that, they're more interested in the science side of it. So you could do either one. A lot of people have totally different degrees. We've had kinesiology degrees and business degrees. As long as it's a 4-year bachelor's degree, they can apply. They might have other relevant experience outside of their degree field, which qualifies them to be a game warden. And so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go into those fields. It's just, if that's what you want to do, then sure, go into something that would directly relate and give you a better background in going into this field. As I said, I've been with the department for 24 years. Currently, I'm stationed in Victoria County as a game warden. And we talked about environment, where we work. So currently, and like I said, you'll have to bear with me on this camera stuff. But if you can see, right now I'm out at the lake. Of course, the lake shut down right now, but there's still activity from people that live on the lake and have access to it. So we're out here and making our rounds. Some of the equipment we use, you can see it. Obviously, patrol boats are a big part of what we do on a daily basis with water safety. We also have our vehicles, which is pretty much our mobile office. We do have offices in places, but that's pretty much where I spend most of my time when I'm working, is either in a vehicle or out on the water. So enjoying the outdoors and being outside, sure, that's a great part of the job. It can also be one of the bad parts of the job, because we respond in all types of weather, natural disasters, floods. When the weather's bad, we're out there. Doesn't mean we're at home. Hurricanes, we're out after the initial threat has passed. Then we're some of the first responders on the scene in hurricanes, conducting rescues, conducting relief efforts. That's a big part of what we do as well. We are state peace officers, so we can enforce any law in the state of Texas. Priority is for Parks and Wildlife law, which is laws governing hunting, fishing, water safety out on the water. And then outside of that, we do a lot of penal code enforcement, BWI, voting while intoxicated, come across a lot of the drug law violations, and we enforce those as well. We also assist other agencies, our local SO, federal agencies, city agencies when they need us, then we're always available to assist them as well. And look at the talking points real fast. As far as the changes since the COVID-19 has started, really it hasn't changed much for us as far as our work and hours. Obviously, we use our personal protection gear, mask. When we make contact with people, we always have our hand sanitizer available, gloves. And that's part of our department's protocol is for us to practice safe contacts with people, not only to protect ourselves, but to protect them as well. As far as the hours worked, nothing's really changed for us. It's probably made us busier because the governor came out early on and said he encouraged people to get outdoors and but to practice social distancing, practice your PPE, using your personal protective equipment when you're out there. But he did encourage people to get outdoors. So we've actually, because more people have been home and off work, we've had more activity out in the woods, on the water, where it's allowed, for the places that didn't shut down, public water, such as down at the bay and some of the rivers. There's still activity. One thing also, just like the scammers increase their activity when stuff is going on to try to get money out of people, the people that really take advantage of our resources, they're going to be out there too at this time because they think we're not out there. You know, we get a lot of those questions. Well, what are y'all doing out here? Well, we're out here because you're out here. Our job is still continue to enforce regulations. So the people that are intentionally going to violate the laws are going to increase their activity when everybody else is kind of shut down from it. Even though, like I said, there's a lot of activity out there right now, but people think they can blend in or that we're just not going to be out there. So really it hasn't changed much for us as far as work and what we're required to do. Still putting in the hours. Our normal day can be any 8 hours within a 24-hour period. We're subject to call 24 hours a day. Have 2 days off a week normally. But we are subject to call on those as well. So you put in a lot of hours that you do have to keep track of all your hours for overtime purposes if you're allowed to claim overtime. A lot of paperwork, a lot of record keeping, making sure that you've got a paper trail, basically virtual trail, if you will now, to document what you do. As you can see, we have body cameras now that we wear that record our contacts, and that's for our safety, for safety of others, and also for evidence in a case that we may need, voting while intoxicated, if we're conducting SFST, our field sobriety test on somebody, then our body cameras will capture that, and we can turn that with the video, turn it in to the district attorney, county attorney's office, whoever's taking it, and then it'll be used for prosecution. So lots of technology now has changed our job. We're still pretty much boots on the ground, working. We have to be out there, but we do a lot of stuff now on computer and with technology resources that we didn't have before. One of the, real quickly, if I can get a picture of it, one of the things we use, if it'll show up, is a side scan sonar, which is on this boat. And what that allows us to do is do recoveries out on the water, which is another one of our responsibilities. Is when somebody drowns, they're drowning on public water, then we're called to lead in the recovery. I am a certified diver for our department, so I'm one of the public safety divers. There's 8 of us in the state, so I'm one that will go out and respond to recoveries directly with our dive team and dive down and make the recovery. And that's important because until a person is recovered, there's always that kind of that void with family. There's no closure yet because they don't know exactly what happened. There's that holding on to hope. And once we make the recovery, as grim as it may be, at least it's giving closure to the families. And that's one of the, you could call it one of the lower points of our job when we have to do that, but also it's one of our main public service duties is to assist people and with that recovery and serve the people of the state when they have a loved one that's lost or missing and presumed drowned. Then it's our duty to go out there and make the recovery try to make recovery as soon as possible to give that closure. I'll go over the points real fast again, make sure, see if I missed anything, and then if y'all have questions, then I think we can open it up to that. As far as the training goes, just to kind of go over that, pass the degree. Once you apply and once you get accepted to attend the academy, our academy is 7 months long. It's in Hamilton, Texas, up above Austin. You live there. You reside at the academy. Most of the time, you'll have some weekends off. After your 7 months of training, you come out as a probationary game warden. You will be a certified peace officer through TCOL standards. And then you will attend now, just starting kind of in its infant stages, our FTO program. So you'd be 6 months with the FTO program with a field training officer, kind of learning basic duties and going over this stuff and just kind of getting that hands-on experience of what you learn in the academy. We just have started the FTO program. So before, after the academy, you were pretty much kicked out on your own. Go out there, give you a boat and a truck and all your other equipment and wish you good luck is basically how it went. And in, some counties where you have several officers where you can work together, you can gain experience from other officers. There may be a county you go to that you're just the only one there. And you're working with other officers or game wardens in other counties within your district to learn from them, or you're just teaching yourself. So a lot of responsibility to be a self-starter, to go out and want to do the job. As far as other certifications, you are going to receive all that stuff in the academy, and then you will continue your education after that by taking TCOL courses and getting your intermediate master peace officer certification, and then moving up. There are opportunities to promote depending on where you're at or where you want to be. We have sergeant positions all the way up to colonel law enforcement, who's our top director in Austin. And that position actually open right now. They'll probably fill it within a couple of weeks. So you just have to apply as you get the time in, where you meet the minimum qualifications to apply. Then you just start applying. I want to say probably starting salaries now for a game warden cadet is probably going to be somewhere around 50. I'd have to look that up, but that's information is available online as well when we do an application process, and it does tell you, if you look on Parks and Wildlife and how to become a game warden, or under game warden, it'll give you more information about what's required and salaries and benefits and stuff like that online. So are there any questions?
Yes, sir, Kevin. We have a few here in the panel.
Okay.
One question asks, do you have anything to do with conservation? And if so, do you tag animals for conservation?
Well, as far as conservation goes, it is a big part of what we do. I mean, conservation law enforcement is what we do as a job. That's what our field is considered, is conservation law enforcement. So conservation is protecting natural resources, is making sure that people are conserving them. And that's where the enforcement side comes in. As far as the management side comes in, they directly manage the resources, manage the population. We are the enforcement side. So we make sure that people that are using those resources, harvesting our resources of the state, are doing it legally and within the regulations. The management side, they do more of the biology part of it, population, habitat, the tagging for keeping track of range and identifying animals. Duck tagging is a big one that's used. A lot of that occurs on the federal side through Fish and Wildlife Service. And as far as tagging animals within our job, we don't necessarily go out and do that, but we also enforce some of the regulations that pertain to, say, deer breeders, where people can raise deer, even though those deer, once they're released, belong to the state of Texas. They can raise them and try to basically, for the most part, manipulate the genetics to breed better quality of animal for basic harvest later on. So they have to tag animals, and then it's our responsibility to make sure those animals are tagged correctly and that there are records that will trace that animal from its basic birth to death. So as far as the tagging stuff, that's kind of where it falls under our job, although we don't go out and tag animals directly.
Okay, the next question is, what extracurricular activities or classes do you suggest a high school student take to get into a career for a game warden?
Well, a lot of what we do does directly relate to agriculture. So ag classes within high school, your biology, science classes, zoology, even some of the classes now, either through the ag side or through the science side, some of the high schools do have wildlife science classes that they teach. So anything to do with that, or as I said, if you are interested in the criminal justice side of it, you could get involved with, a lot of criminal justice agencies that do internships and volunteers. A lot of that comes when you get into college, but also you can do a lot of volunteer activities. We do kid fish events. We're always looking for people to help out. Also, just get involved in outdoors. Having that experience being outdoors, hunting and fishing will help you later on as you pursue this career, and actually help you in the field too, because you get a good idea of what it takes to go out fishing and hunting, and whether somebody's doing it legal or not legal. So
You mentioned internships or summer programs. Do you all offer any of those for high school or college age students?
Generally college, it would be, I think, between kind of sophomore, junior years and on. You can apply for summer paid internships with Parks and Wildlife, with the law enforcement division, working with game wardens in the summer. All that information is online as well. And once you get into college and you know that's the degree field you want to go into and that's the job you want to pursue, then you can put in for those internships and then go out and get the firsthand experience of working with the game warden and what we do basically on a daily basis that it's hard to just describe because there are so many things outside of being on the water or patrolling for hunting and fishing regulations that we do. A lot of nuisance wildlife calls, especially this time of year with the baby deer being born. Everybody's calling in about the baby deer. And, the thing that I'll say over, this presentation we're having, if you see a baby deer, leave it alone. The mother will bed them down in the strangest places, but generally she's going to come back for them. If they're healthy and they're protected and they're not in immediate danger from anything, leave them there. And she'll come back and she'll get them. Alligators, get a lot of call on alligators. And so a big part of what we do is relocating alligators. And if they're a problem, then we'll move them. Probably not going to be able to see it, but there's an alligator sitting on the water right behind me on the lake. So out here, this is natural habitat, but if there are causing problems, then we'll get involved and move them. But as far as that, yes, we do have the internship where you can get that hands-on experience working with a game warden.
Okay, this one's a multi-part question. It's
okay.
How inclusive and diverse is the career field for females, for a person with disability, and if someone is diagnosed with a disability, are there modifications for them to be able to do their job responsibilities?
Okay, as far as diversity within the sex,
I apologize for that. For those who are on the call, we are going to wait a moment to allow Kevin to reconnect. If you all could be patient, we appreciate that.
to talk to people and interact with them. And a big part of that is talking to people on a level that you reach them and they understand you, and being able to adjust that when you're talking to people. Just like when you talk to a kid, you talk in a different way than you would talk to a grown adult. So you have to be able to adjust your conversation accordingly because you will interact with all ages, all backgrounds, all cultural backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, just social, economic backgrounds. So you have to be able to talk to people, and you have to be able to talk to people where you're not talking down to them. You have to talk to them a level they understand. There will be times when you have to talk to people authoritatively in a situation where you may be arresting somebody, you may be dealing with somebody that's agitated or aggressive, and you have to be able to communicate with them what you want them to do. If you have a situation that requires force, or even if it has to go to deadly force, you have to be able to communicate those orders, and that's different than just talking to somebody daily. You can't use authoritative force or language with somebody just when you're just making a direct contact with them. You have to be able to talk to them and make them feel at ease and make them understand what you need to see, what you need to inspect, what you need of them, and then just converse with them and make them feel at ease during the contact.
Aside from body cameras, boats, and vehicles, what other technical devices do you all use?
Well, obviously, we have our firearms that we carry, all our equipment, our handcuffs, our pepper spray, tourniquet. We use GPS a lot, either on your phone or a handheld GPS device. And so binoculars, laptop computers, we do a lot of it. A lot of it is going to mobile and car computers. I don't have one yet. I still have just a standard radio with our communications network to run traffic and get our information that we may need for somebody. As I explained, I don't know, you heard the information, but it's the side scan sonars, very technological device. It does take some skill in using the right device to locate somebody that may be underwater in a drowning situation. So, yeah, other than that, a lot of our boats are equipped with a lot of electronic monitoring equipment that monitors the motors, radar to show you where you're going in times of low visibility, fog, or at night, and your equipment, your plotters, chart plotters, GPS, and sonar, and that type of stuff.
You mentioned you're part of the dive team. Do all game wardens need to know how to swim?
Yes, they do. Actually, that is part of our minimum qualifications, is that you be able to swim and pass a swim test. So yes, you do need to be comfortable in the water and be comfortable swimming. I don't have the minimum standard in front of me, but like I said, that is available online as well. The minimum swim standards are there. We also, once you're in the academy, we teach a class, and I'm one of the instructors as well for that. It's called Officer Water Survival, and what that does is that teaches you how to survive if you're submerged in the water. And we just had one recently, I think in the hill country. It was a park peace officer that was pushed into the water in full uniform. And one thing we do is teach you how to survive if you get pushed in, because generally, depending on what you have on your belt, you could be wearing 15 to 20 pounds extra on your belt, as well as your body armor that's underneath. You also have some outer carrier plates that weigh 10 to 15 pounds. Body armor weighs 7 pounds generally. Some less, some is 5 to 7 pounds. So yeah, you're looking at going in the water carrying upwards of 30 extra pounds and being in full uniform. So you have to understand and be able to keep calm and then do what it takes to get you out of the water, because that's what we want to see, is that our officer goes home every night safe.
Okay, one of the last questions here. What words of advice do you have for a high school student?
As far as directly related to this field, yeah, we continue to pursue those activities that would be related to what we do. The other big advice is that, as I talked about, those different processes within our application process. One of those big ones is a background check. And what that background check does is it goes through any criminal record, anything that may be unsavory for what you're going to be doing as a peace officer. So number one is keep your record clean. That's one of the number one things when you start applying for any law enforcement job or any job for that matter. A lot of jobs do background checks now. And so keep your background clean and, go out to and do as much volunteer work as possible. Sometimes it can be difficult when you have sports activities and other extracurricular activities, but if you know the field you're wanting to go into, regardless if it's this field or any field, just do as much digging and as much research as you can on that field, and then try to go out and volunteer with stuff that directly relates into the field that you're wanting to go into.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for that good advice. Do we have any other questions that need to be asked or answered at this time? With no further questions, I appreciate you all for connecting with us. Thank you so much, Kevin, for your time and valued information. If you all do think of something you'd like to have addressed at a later date and time, please feel free to email us and we could forward those questions along. Once again, thank you, Kevin. You stay safe, stay healthy, and we appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate the time.
Yes,
Y'all
sir.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.